Hello guys and welcome to today's video. So today we have finally got an update on the revive situation. This is one I've been waiting for quite a while. I've been checking the forums quite avidly to see what the plan is. As you guys know, I did a death to revive farming video. As you guys know, my opinions in that video are that the revive farm at 3.2.6 was too OP. It did make content that bit easier. Like if you had 3k units and 50 revives farmed, or if you had 100 revive farms and 1,000 units, you could do EOP with pretty much any champ because you could unit man your way through it. You can do that anyway, but I do think that maybe the revive farm was a little bit overkill, making it maybe some content really easy. If you really if you farmed that and then said you're going to do all of 8.2 with 50 revives, you're probably very easily going to do it. So that did have to go, but what they had replaced it with, the original Apothecary, probably wasn't quite it. So let's go through what the new changes are, what they have talked about, and see what Kabam Jax has said. So first, he's just let a little overview saying that we spoke to the content creator programs. They've looked at other social media and had a discussion of how they want to proceed with the Apothecary and some of the changes to their make. So there has been a lot of discourse, as you guys know. A lot of Twitter have been going crazy. As you know, my video, I wasn't best pleased with it either, and that tends to be sort of the sort of known issue with the Apothecary, was that the revives were really limited. You could only get 5 a week, meaning that if you did want to do EOP, you were either going to have to save for ages, and at most you could get about 30 revives farmed before they would start to expire, meaning sometimes it would, unless you had Hercules, it's basically impossible, or you had to save units. So my opinion for what they had to do was they had to either make the Apothecary more revives, stronger revives, or increase the stash amount so that you could revive farm for a month and a half, get about 50 revives, go into EOP, which, they've done some of those. So let's see what they're going to talk about doing here. So under the system they announced last week, so the Apothecary, they would you'd be able to earn 5 level 1 revives per week and 7 level 1 revives per week from the 22 hours. So obviously that's 12 revives a week, giving you obviously 48 a month, but they expire after about 14 days, so at most you could have about 30. They're guaranteed regular sources that are absolute, as I said, an absolute guarantee. There are other sources of them, event quests, whatever there may be, but this is sort of, you're definitely going to get them. With a 14-day expiry window on those revives, as I said, you could only hold 2 weeks worth, which is 24. 24 revives isn't very much to do big Everest content or big EOP content, things like that, the difficult content in the game, without having to spend. So with considering the 15 revive inventory capacity, you'd only be able to stack around 39 or 43 before they'd start to expire. So 40 is probably just about enough, but you'd have to be at the absolute cusp and have enough time to do it on that day. So say if it fell on a Monday and you had work, you wouldn't be able to do it. So that should be made a little easier, and that seems to be what they've done. So the following changes may seem small individually, which they don't necessarily. I think that may be wrong. They seem relatively medium-sized. They're not massive changes, but they're not small. But overall, it does make for a big thing. So eventually, adding it all together, 39 revive capacity will be turned to 78 if you've got the sigil, or 68. So you're basically, almost doubling it, times it by about 1.8 or whatever it is. It will take longer to build that, but it's a fairer trade-off than having a 3.2.6 revive farm, which is their opinion. So what are they changing? They're keeping the Apothecary open 7 days a week. So instead of having it 5, which was already a stupid idea, you can have 14 revives a week. Increasing the inventory cap from 15 to 20 revives, or 25 if you've got a sigil. But this is the big one. This is the one that I really like. Changing the level 1 revive in the Thronebreaker and Paragon 22-hour events to a level 2 revive. So this just means that when you're doing, you get 7 level 1 revives from the Apothecary a week, and 7 level 2 revives from the 22-hour events. This means that you can now obviously stack 2 separate revives into your inventory and then go over that threshold and put them in your stash, making it a lot easier. But also, this is another thing. In my opinion, EOP without Hercules it's very tricky, because 20% you then need health potions. Health potions, as we all know, are not very good. They're not percentage based. It just isn't good enough. So 20% on like a Kitty Pride or a Gallon, it took 2 hits and you'd be dead. So you have to be absolutely perfect. With 40%, it doubles how much you would have had previous. So you are able to go, you've got more health in general, making it you be able to survive a few more hits, or give you more chance to get your harvest off if you're Gallant, or build up your prowesses and your temperature if you're Kitty Pride, or your Whiplashes if you're Quicksilver, making it a little bit easier. So I do like that. I like that a lot. I also think that 40% revives are a lot more helpful than, say, the level 1. And the 22-hour events, you've got level up, easy to do, just level up a few champs. Hero use, very, very easy. Event quest completion. And I feel like I'm missing one. I can't think of what the other one is. So I do apologise for that. Arena wins, that's the one. So they are relatively easy to complete. Maybe the event quest completion is quite annoying, but still nonetheless, you are able to do it. So let's see what else Kabam I've got to say. That obviously, as I said, gives you two stacks. This is a bit more maths, meaning that you can limit from 39 revives to 68, which is a substantial increase because of you've got level 2 revives and level 1. So timeline, they'll above the 3 changes mentioned above will exist on varying timelines. When the Apothecary launches, it will be on a 5-day cycle, so that will only be 5 days for the first month. It's not that difficult to add 2 days to an event. It surely cannot be that difficult. So apparently we have to wait till May for it to be on a 7-day cycle. So really, there's no point telling us this yet, but whatever, 5 days. They're planning to increase it to level 2 revives to 22-hour events almost immediately, which is really nice. So that will be done, they say, by the end of next week. And then the potions. So we've obviously talking about the potions and the fact that they're weak. A 10k potion is very rare, and it doesn't even do 10. It can, on some of the champs nowadays, it does 15%, 20%, which just isn't good enough. You need to have percentage-based potions, which is what they have mentioned here. The game team have discussed revamped potions, committed to overhauling. However, this will be implemented in 5 to 6 months. So that is 6 months down the line. That's almost... That's when you start your next year of school, if you're in school. Or it's when you have your next pay review at work. Or it's almost Christmas. That's such a long time. I think that will probably be pushed as well, which is a joke. That is something that they should have been thinking about, but at least they're getting it done. That's the only thing that I can take from that. They're getting it done, but it will be a very, very long time. Then they've given us a transparent design philosophy. So if you wish to read this, I'll just give it a brief overview. And then if you can read it, it will obviously be on screen, or it will be in the forums, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. They just basically say that Eternity of Pain and Corinne's challenges should be difficult by revive farming and spamming revives that you've farmed. It's easy, it makes it less difficult, and it starts to become expected rather than a challenge. My takeaway from this is that that's the case if you're a spender. So Kabam are just happy for you to spend. There's no spend limit. They're happy for it to be a race when you're spending, but when you've got the revive farm, it's taking the mick out of the game and making it too easy, which I just think shows that they're really centered around money. Obviously, they're a business, they will be, but that is sort of taking the mick. They also say that by designing EOP acceptance and future Everest content might have to be stopped if there was that revive farm, because it just means that you're not it means that it's not being challenged enough. It's not taking too long. So EOP acceptance for them is obviously supposed to take the amount of time that I'm doing it in, which has been about almost 2 months since it come out. But obviously Karate Mike did it on the first day. Obviously that's different levels of account and skill players and stuff, but they want the average person to take 3 months to do this content, so that by the time that you finish that content, you've only got to wait another month and then new content's out, which again makes sense, but you can't complain when people are revive farming, but you're happy to do it when they're spending. So where's the spend limit? Again, there'll never be a spend limit. I understand that, but I just think, it's 6 and 1 and half a dozen. It's just not it's not something to be moaning about. They also say that they said in the original post that they'd have to cancel content if the revive farm stayed up, just threatening people for their own mistake. The thing with this is my overall thoughts is Kabam made the mistake of putting the 3.2.6 revive farm in, didn't take it out for years, pushed a race to do Everest content, who can finish it first. That's clearly having to revive farm revives. And then now that their recent content in EOP has been finished really easily, and they see that all these revives are being farmed and they're not making as much money as they could have, they've had enough, they want to change it. Okay, fair enough, but all you have to say is, this revive farm was an accident, we really apologise, it's got to go because it's a bug, it's taking the mick, it's too easy, we're putting in something that's really good, or at least giving you a substantial amount of revives. The first Apothecary wasn't, this one, okay, maybe so much, maybe a bit more. So they say here, again, handcrafted Everest and endgame content is one that costs them the most money and takes them the most time. Again, fair enough, but don't complain would be my thing. You're getting, we know how much money you get. Watch Seaton's video if you want to see how much money they get. They can afford to do it. If they wanted to reduce their profits by 10% or 5%, they could afford to make more of this Everest endgame content. It's just because they're greedy on their money. They're a classic consumerist person in all around the world, what the population has now become, where it's money, 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 don't care about what we're giving, we just want to make as much money as we possibly can, and everyone else can do whatever they like, we don't care, we just want money. That's my opinion on it. Obviously, you could tell relatively passionate about that and the general population, but especially in Kabam, they just care about their money, and they don't want to make more. I don't want this to come as a rant because, again, I'm not ranting. I personally think these changes are really good. I also think that EOP acceptance should have taken, unless you were like a Legacy who spends, or a Karate Mike with a massive account who spends, or a big whale and you wanted to get through it, fine. But when you're seeing people on Twitter who are maybe don't have, who aren't too skillful, who are just have farmed 100 revives and going in, then that's when you've got to look at it and say, well, where are you finding fun in that game? Are you getting idle? Like, for me personally, if I'd finished EOP acceptance, I probably would be a little bit idle in this game right now. But the fact that I'm able to farm revives or do this content to get to Paragon is what's pushing me on and making it more fun for me. So yeah, apart from there, why has this change so impactful? So as you can see, it's not, the revive farm has not always been present in MCOC. That was just a result of November 2021's change. And they would brag about, and summoners would discuss content and brag about completing it with that many units. It was designed a benchmark, then narrative slowly shift how many revives should I farm, which leads us to how grinding for units is any different from revives, and it is. And this is my personal opinion on this. It's because the best way to get units is through Arena, and Arena is full of bots, and it's so boring. It's so boring. Whereas you can sit, have your dinner, put your phone on autoplay, and revive and farm 2 revives in 10 minutes with all of your energy, and then wait for your energy to refresh. Arena farming is so boring. It is like just monotone. Go into a fight, beat a champ easily 3 times, go on to the next one, go on to the next one, go on to the next one. The fights aren't hard. There's no difficulty to it. There's no auto fight. It's just boring, mind-numbing task that personally I don't have the time to do every single day with work and all that goes on. Most people don't. So farming units is much more difficult than farming revives, because revives is easy. It's like a task you don't have to think about, whereas units is boring, it's mind-numbing. And then they've got this conclusion. So if you made it this far, thank you for reading this whole post. We appreciate you taking the time, whatever. So that's the changes, the new adjustments. My overall in conclusion views are, I like the Apothecary idea. Not that I don't mind it. I think it's okay. It has to, yeah, okay, we need new revives. If it had potions in it as well, and the potions were percentage based, I think it would be fine. I would no complaints. I really like the inventory capacity increase. I think that's really good. I'm sick of seeing a 15-day, especially if there was no farming 3.2.6 or anywhere to farm revives. Imagine you'd work so hard for a revive, and then 15 days later, it just expired because you didn't have the capacity. I think that's a joke. I love the increase. That's fine. And then the change of level 1 revives to level 2 in the 22 hours is really, really, really good. I really like that. Not just for EOP acceptance, not just for Everest, but think about questing, fully exploring hard, like the quests, Act 7, beginning of Act 8. 40% is massive. It's really helpful, and I really, really like that. So in conclusion, I don't mind these changes. I like the 22-hour event. I think they're way better than the Apothecary. I just am a little bit more annoyed on the kabam side that when you can't complain about people farming revives and using loads of revives when it comes for free, but when you buy loads of revives and you pay money for it, there's no issue. So that's my overall thought on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I do apologise if this is a rant, but I would love to hear what your guys' opinions are on this. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in tomorrow's video where we'll break down the new event quest and the rewards they've got in there, which has a nice little awakening gem. If you've enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.